Welcome to the Elevated Trader Podcast. I am Dr. Kristin Kidgel.
And I am Tracy Ball. Join us every week as we journey into becoming better traders.
We believe becoming better traders involves elevating our skill, our mindset, and our health. In each episode, we will discuss the current book we are exploring, and we invite you to join us on this journey.
Are you ready to elevate your trading, mindset, and health to the next level? Let's do this.
Welcome back to Part 8 of Money Grows on Trees by Jerremy Alexander Newsome. Chapter 7, titled Ways to Protect Your Newly Found Money Tree.
This chapter here was probably my most challenging chapter. This chapter basically is about budgeting.
Yep.
Now, it's not that I don't agree with budgeting. I think budgeting is very important. The biggest problem for me is it's not easy. There's no easy, time efficient way of budgeting that I have found that makes this worthwhile. Second thing, when I hear the term budget or budgeting, it feels very much like diet or dieting. And what I mean by that is that it feels like you're trying to force something that's not natural. And I don't believe that diet or dieting is important or healthy. I think that it's a lifestyle change that you need to choose to be healthy. That's what, quote unquote, is diet or dieting. It should be a health lifestyle choice. Budget or budgeting should be a financial lifestyle choice in the way that you do things, in the way that you make decisions. That's the way that my brain thinks. So the word budgeting is a real difficult challenge for me to get through.
Couple things that stand out listening to you go through your mental process of what life up to this day has shown you or how you've received the word budget. It does carry a lot of negativity for a lot of people, and I would be one of them. So why don't we change the word? So instead of budget, why don't we go with money consciousness?
I love it.
I'm just throwing it out there. So having one with work for my business. Yep. Having one personally. One of the things people need to wrap their head around is it evolves. It changes very much like the way we eat. Maybe that evolves. Maybe that changes. And here's the other thing. Why should we fit into somebody else's idea of how we budget, how we control where our money's coming and going? Because we have different lifestyles, we have different businesses, we have different incomes, everything is so different. So relaxing back in the fact that, number one, money wants our attention. It wants to be controlled. It wants to know what to do. It wants to work for us. It's all those energies wrapped around that word money and wrapped around the word currency. So now, if we are to eliminate that word, which is super important, right? Because he talks about, I think it was Warren Buffett, or all these wealthy people, they have a budget. Well, you know what? If we don't like the word, let's switch it. So now if everybody's money management is like a fingerprint, as far as I'm concerned, you do you, I'll do me, and we'll be good.
I love it.
Let's take the stress out of it.
I love it because I don't sit down and do the traditional budget, right? But
I love the air quotes, by the way. You're rocking them in this episode.
But I do have money consciousness. So I am aware of where my money is being spent. And I think that's the important part. So
yes.
If I'm looking each month and I'm reconciling my accounts, I'm making sure that my bank accounts are balanced the way that I expect them to be. I know my credit cards are paid. I see where the money is going. That brings certain spending habits up to the forefront that can say, hey, you're spending too much money here. Look at how much money you spent eating out this month. That needs to be cut way back. That's too much money, right?
I like it.
That's the way that I budget. I think that's the bigger, I love it. Money consciousness.
So one of the things I was also picking up on what you were saying is that it's hard and it's difficult and it's this and it's that. I think if we wrap our head around the benefits of doing it, it makes it easier. Mm-hmm. So if eating a certain way is more difficult, well, you know what? Some things that are difficult are worth pushing through until they're easy. And I love this quote by Eric Thomas. He says on page 102, if you want a hard life, do what's easy. If you want an easy life, do what's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's all written right there. So it's really, ironically, a mindset switch. To me, knowing that I'm giving the money that attention that it needs to have that extra focus instead of just freewheeling it, that's where I think we get in trouble. And I'm literally like, I will point the finger at this camera in the computer, but there's 3 fingers pointing back. I've totally done it, and it doesn't pay off. And I love this chapter, and I'm so happy that it's in there.
Well, and just like I said earlier, just like dieting, to me, it's a lifestyle, money conscious lifestyle, healthy eating lifestyle.
And
those are choices.
And technology has definitely made it easier, though. He does point out we have to, like today, we have banks, we have apps, we have all of that. You know, I have QuickBooks,
mm-hmm.
and QuickBooks has evolved and has innovated to really make it easier. I should not be complaining at all when it's time to do my taxes. I told my accountant, these are changes I'm going to make. I'm like, when I was trying to do my taxes before, I'm like, I know this is totally self-inflicted pain. I need to make better choices. And to me, that is a way of money management.
Mm.
Cool.
And when she says that she's having difficulties doing her taxes, I'm telling you, I listened to this for about 3 weeks of, I don't want to do my taxes. I don't want to do my taxes. I don't want to do my taxes.
Totally self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Not going to happen anymore. I've already fixed that problem. And matter of fact, it was probably, this book in that chapter probably had that extra little nudge. I don't know, but
awesome.
Yeah. We were reading this book and I was doing my taxes at the same time.
Oh, you rock.
Oh,
all right.
Alrighty. Okay, here we are, chapter 8, the actual written formula for insane success. What jumps out for you?
Well, I mean, in this, there was a couple sayings in here, a couple thoughts that I had to reflect on. One of them was our brains are trained to say no internally and yes externally, which we've covered mostly in previous episodes. So I don't want to really discuss that again. Okay. But then there was another thing on the resources versus resourcefulness. And I think you have a story that's really insightful that you were reading. Well, we both read in this book, but I'll let you about the guy that climbed the mountain. That is a definite sign of resourcefulness, right?
Right. I mean, I think one of the things is like, sometimes we're told you can do anything. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, okay, we'll bench press 1,000 pounds. So I think he's just trying to break it down as like, okay, well, you can do a lot of things, but maybe you just can't do anything. Well, you can't fly. Well, we'll just make a plane. Okay. Well, resourcefulness. Mm-hmm. So that comes into the Kyle Maynard, who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro without arms and legs. So saying that anything is possible can technically be alive, but you know, what's more effective is to truly know our limits. And to truly know our limits, we have to go test them. By the way, that's the only other place in this book that I underlined something and started and cornered it, because that's, I think, where the fear is. People don't test their limits.
No, we're afraid to. We don't know where those limits are. So it's like, where do you test them to? Or people will test them, but they test level, they succeed. They don't test till failure. And in order for you to test your limits, you need to test to failure.
And failure doesn't mean give up.
Exactly. So testing your limit or testing to failure shows you where that limit is. Testing to success just shows you success, but it doesn't show you where the bar is.
So I can super appreciate this short list of 5 steps, honestly. I think in my mind, I make this goal too big. And what I've decided to do, honestly, in the last few days is I'm going to take micro goals. So what's the goal within the goal? And so it's this big goal. So those are technically steps. So now I'm going to take that step as, okay, now that's that next step. That's the little mini goal. So one is to take the time to think about something extremely specific. Then there we go. We're have this, maybe I'm going not specific enough is my point. And I think maybe I'm not alone. I honestly feel like I'm a pretty average person, to be honest with you. And then physically write it down, pen to paper. Again, extremely specific. So he's really, and I think that can be looked over, saying and thinking, okay, well, get freaking specific on it. Don't be blasé about it.
So before you go on, why do you think that it's important to write it down?
Neuro-linguistic, all that stuff. I think it's saying it, thinking it, writing it, reading it. I think there's something that ingrains in us on a level that's possibly beyond my comprehension that neuroscientists have already discovered.
Yeah, you're getting more senses involved, that's for sure, which makes it more memorable. That's number one. But it also makes it more real. Right?
Okay, yeah. I agree.
You've put that thought, that energy from your brain, you've put it onto a piece of paper, which has now been put into the universe outside of your brain. It's been taken out of your brain and put into the universe. And that makes it more real. And I think that scares a lot of people. That's commitment.
My brain just went to, well, wonder if you don't know how to write. What would you do?
Speak, tell somebody, share that thought with somebody, get it out of your brain and into the universe where there's some accountability.
Creating that energy and that frequency.
It is.
I like it.
And that accountability, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, that's a commitment. People shy away from that part because that's the commitment issue part. That's the commitment part that brings it to reality. And subconsciously or consciously, you are not committing to whatever it is that you are wanting in this universe. And maybe that's because you don't want to get let down. Maybe that's because you fear failure, whatever it might be, right? There's something that's you're holding yourself back from allowing that thought to become a potential reality.
I'm getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Good.
Yeah.
It's only through uncomfortableness that you will grow.
Boom. Number 5, you do whatever is required each day and week until the goal is accomplished. Interesting, because that's going to lead into our next book, which, by the way, what's the book that we're reading next?
The Miracle Morning.
Okay.
By Hal Elrod.
Okay. And then he says and reiterates just what you were saying, start telling people about your goals and dreams, put it out, put the energies out there, blah, blah, blah. I love it. And then he gives examples, which I can appreciate. He does say that people get stuck between steps. So I'm probably one of those at one point. Only the people with the strongest why in their hearts, with the clearest vision and purpose, will even make it this far. 4 simple, easy steps. And then, because he was talking about getting, from 3 to 4 and 4 to 5.
Which is pen to paper.
Mm-hmm. And then here, also still on 113, the grind, the grit, the determination, the discipline, it all boils down to, quote, how bad do you want it? End quote.
How bad do you want it?
How bad do you want it?
Mic drop.
I love it. Okay, we're wrapping that one up. Thank you for joining us today. For more information about the show, as well as our list of current reads, check us out at www.theelevatedtrader.com.
Remember to subscribe and share if you found value in today's episode. See you next week.